Hi, welcome. So today I'd like to introduce you to somebody very, very, very good at birth photography. This is Hannah Palamara. Hannah is a birth worker, and we are going to talk about the why and how she is a birth photographer, what birth photography is like. So, Hannah, where are you based, and why did you get into doing this beautiful work, tree of life photography, doula photography?
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
I don't know where to start. I got into photography after the birth of my second child. I originally studied fashion at London College of Fashion, and I was not so interested in photography then. I was really into styling, and so I worked a little bit in the fashion industry, and then I got pregnant with my second child, and like things change with pregnancy and birth, I kind of changed direction after I had her, and became more interested in photography, bought my first camera.
Yeah.
And started taking pictures of my children, and so I was kind of doing photography first before my doulaing. And it was through the birth of my third child that I became a doula.
So your third baby was a very healing birth.
It was. I had 2 C-sections, a crash C-section with my first, which was quite traumatic, and then a not so scary one, but still I wanted a VBAC with my second. And with my third...
VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
And with my third, I did a lot of research, and I just really wanted to have a vaginal birth. I wanted to birth that baby, and I kind of went against the advice, and I got an independent midwife, and I decided to birth at home because I felt safest at home, and I had an amazing, empowering birth. And
did anyone take any pictures then?
Yes, I didn't have a professional photographer. I wish I had, but I got some great photos from my midwives.
We've got to talk to you. I just remembered. We're learning all this Facebook Live stuff, and we're talking to each other, and it's very fascinating, but we have to remember to talk to you because it's kind of like a one-to-one. Whoever you are, hi.
Hi.
Andy's there. Andy's watching. Hi. And so describe maybe so that people know what it's like. How does it work? So you know, someone thinks, right, well actually they look at birth photography, and if you're pregnant and you're looking at hypnobirthing channels, you're probably in your feed going to have some other stuff coming up with beautiful photos. The photograph that I've used for this event, that lovely kind of brown and black and white image of mum and freshborn babe at the breast, that's Hannah's work, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful picture. Mine are all a bit blurred. They're all sort of a bit,
that's right.
just giving birth, a bit blurry.
Yeah,
it would have been gorgeous to have some
definitely
better ones.
Definitely, you know, it's very different. It's like having your cousin get their camera and come and take photos at your wedding for you and be your photographer. The difference between having a professional photographer taking photos at your birth and having a friend or a midwife or doula with a camera, is, you know, so different, because when you're taking photos at a birth, you only have, you know, one chance to get all of those photos, and you're always fighting, you know, very challenging lighting situations. Everything changes, you know, things change very quickly in birth, so knowing, you know, having a knowledge about birth and the physiology of birth is really important as a birth photographer. I wouldn't go as far as saying that all birth photographers need to be doulas, but I think all birth photographers need to have the essence of a birth worker. I think they need to have, you know, knowledge of the physiology of birth, how, you know, the birth space is.
How it needs to be.
How it needs to be.
So, so for me, I would want the photographer there and not there, just like the midwife there but not there, kind
Definitely. This is something that comes up a lot for me. I think because I'm a doula, an experienced doula, it really helps. Sorry. It really helps.
Because your mates from across the pond will be
Oh, yeah.
watching this later. So
Hi, everyone.
imagine that you're talking to them.
Because I have the knowledge that I have as a doula and the experience, I think it helps that I understand how the birth space is and how to work with other professionals in the birth space. You know, I've worked with people before that have been very, you know, kind of put off by the fact that I was going to be there as a photographer. And, you know, through speaking to them, explaining how I work, and then from them seeing how I work in the birth space, it has put their mind at rest, because my goal is to kind of be invisible and to, you know, facilitate the birth space as much as I can in my own way as a photographer.
How do you not doula then? So are you there? You're there photographing as a birth photographer, and so this is all my projection of what it would be like. But how do you not like want to
Be a doula?
Be a doula.
Yeah, it's different. Because I have mostly done doula and photography together, where I'm doing both and I'm wearing both hats.
Yeah.
Which I love doing. But more recently, I'm doing a lot more of just photography, and it works really well. I love both for different reasons. When I'm just doing photography, I even more step into the background, and I'm just focusing on, you know, my photography. It just works really well. And when I'm doing both, I wear both hats, and, you know, there's always time to put the camera down and doula, and to pick the camera up in those quiet moments and take photos. So when you're being in service to those women and taking photos and their birth partners, and tell us a story of one. What's it like? Yeah, it's amazing. I had a beautiful birth recently on the supermoon when I was just a photographer, and I had...
More babies do come around the full moon.
They do.
You read studies that say that's not true, but our local birth centre matron, she puts on more midwives on the rota on a full moon.
It was really busy. Yeah, I was expecting a baby on the supermoon, and it did happen. And I formed a really great relationship with the doula and the two midwives, and it just really felt like we were very much working together as a team, and we kind of it felt like we understood each other very well. And I would step in and out of the room, because it was very important to facilitate the privacy for this mother. So I would come in and take photos. It was pitch black in the room, so that's another thing that, you know, I had to overcome as a photographer.
Yes. Yes.
And
because imagine as well, like a freshborn baby doesn't want a flash camera, like in its freshborn eyes, where it, you know, the child's just getting used to daylight, right?
That's right. Yeah, some birth photographers don't use flash at all. I use flash when it's needed, but I use flash in a way that it's never directed at anybody's face, and it's always discussed previously with the clients.
Yes.
So we talk about everything in our antenatals, so there's no surprises. But I use bounce flash with a black diffuser, and
bounce flash.
And my feedback has been that it's very unobtrusive, and I only use it when it's necessary. And the other time I'm trying to work with the available light, you know, a lamp, a curtain cracked.
Yes.
It's very much a case of working with what you have on the day.
Being very creative with it all. Okay. And this lovely supermoon baby.
Yes, it was a beautiful VBAC at home, and it was wonderful. It was a beautiful birth to watch and to witness and to document, and got beautiful photos. And a lot of them are out there already.
Yeah, a lot of them are out there. So then, right, so just explain a bit about it as something people can have for their birth.
Yeah, so birth photography, a lot of the time when I tell people I'm a birth photographer, the first sort of look I get is, because all they imagine is somebody standing there at their end with the camera directed at their vagina. And obviously you can get beautiful images of babies emerging, very tastefully recorded, but it's not just about the vagina shot, you know. There's so much more to birth photography. Birth photography is storytelling. You know, birth photography, seeing the images of your birth is almost like I call it a visual debrief. So we all know that birth, it has its own way and it doesn't always go the way that you've planned. But having, you know, the images afterwards to see can be very healing for some women.
Okay.
So I like to talk to couples and explain to them that it's about telling their story, however it unfolds. And I usually do about 1 or 2 antenatal appointments with my couples.
Yeah.
And we discuss in detail their birth plan, you know, who the team is, how we're going to work together. I tell them exactly how I work, what my experience is. Obviously discuss what it is they would be interested in having for their story. And then I, much like a doula, I go on call around 37 weeks.
Yeah. So that means that you are on call possibly for a month or 5 weeks even.
Yeah, it can be 4 to 5 weeks of being 24/7 on call, so that phone's always on.
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere without reception. You know, everything has to be ready for me to leave at, you know, a moment's notice. And much like being a doula, when I get the call, we decide together when it's the right time to go, and then I go, and I can be gone for 24 hours at least, maybe longer, and I stay there and I document that birth, and I generally don't leave.
No. And then, so I'm really interested in that kind of, it's like a recollection of tools, so people can look back and women can see their strength as well. So
definitely.
Well, just before we did this, we were talking and I was saying if we could just get women to believe in the strength of their bodies before they have their babies, if we could just let them know you are so strong, your body's so powerful, it can do this, you're incredible.
Yeah.
But they don't get it until afterwards.
That's
a lot
right.
of women are just like, oh yeah, actually I'm really strong and I make new people, that's really awesome, I'm amazing. If we could just get that, and photos of women in labour, managing their sensations, their surges, that downward pressure expansion, all of that, that's gorgeous and glorious to see. Oh, so what's the Ina May Gaskin quote? If a woman in labour doesn't look like a goddess, someone isn't
not
treating her right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very true, very true.
Very true.
And I think that's why birth photography is really important, and why I think why birth photography in the UK should be well known, and that's why I would like to talk about it. And
you want to work with some more kind of birth centre couples and hospital couples as well as at home as well. So if any of you are interested in Hannah doing this for you and your baby's birth, then she would, I work with all kinds of births.
I work with all births. It's not just, a lot of people, another misconception, people think if you're having a doula or a birth photographer that it's only for home birth or only for, whatever it is you're planning. But actually, it's every birth I can be there for you, at hospital birth, birth centre. Carrie Calderbank. Oh, Kerry. Kerry. Lovely Kerry. Kerry is one of my lovely ladies that I was doula and photographer for. Hi. And actually, it's Kerry's photo that you see on the ad for this talk to say her beautiful photo.
Pic, Kerry. It's really gorgeous, and your baby's gorgeous, and well done.
Oh, thank you. So birth photography, it can be for any type of birth. It's a planned C-section, birth centre, hospital. Obviously, we're still working, as birth photography is still quite new in the UK. Yeah. Individually as photographers, we're still working with local hospitals and midwives and obstetricians, because different hospitals have different rules about photographers come in. But at the moment, it's something I think that we're just doing on an individual basis. Yeah. But I think as more birth photographers pop up in the UK, which is happening right now. Yeah. And I have a group actually called UK Birth Photographers Tribe, which is for new and aspiring and working UK birth photographers. Yeah. I think that we can try and network and create, something together where we can approach trusts and discuss, more details.
Trust. And it makes me think this. It makes me think, actually, it's the woman's decision. It's the birthing woman's decision. And I get that you don't want people sharing too much online or whatever. But if a midwife says, I I don't want to be in any pictures, and that's easily doable. It's just like having a birth preferences document where you say certain things really, really matter to me. And I don't think that's an unworkable thing. I think that's something that you could just keep very, very simple, and hopefully it wouldn't become a polarised thing. Because in the recent times, I've had to practice as a doula and just call myself the woman's friend.
Yeah.
Because there was a degree of contempt for doulas in the hospital environment. It was fine, but it'd be nice just to be able to go, look, this is the work, this is what it looks like. But you have to have like a handy portfolio with you, so you can go, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And then they get it. And it's not, back to your thing about, it's not the vagina shot. Yeah. It's not, no, I'm just going to keep taking pictures of her vulva until the baby comes out. That's not it.
No, it's the storytelling. And there's often times when women look back at their photos and they say, wow, I didn't even realise that was happening. And I didn't even realise, you know, they're just, it's because you're in, you know, ideally you're in labour land and you're not aware of what's going on around you. And so that's my job, is to just capture those little moments and things that actually you might not even see.
No. And it's such a glorious time. Yes, it's powerful. Yes, it's intense. Yes, it's raw. Birth is incredible. One of the books I bought recently is Becky's book called Birth in Focus, which I've been recommending, because
great book.
It's got pictures of babies being born, okay? And it's not... It's okay for me to look at, and when I show it to my son, it's okay for him, because he hasn't been taught that that's something to be afraid of or weird or the like. And I think the more birth photography that we see, the better. Hannah, you're working where, sort of southeast England, but I'm sure she'd go anywhere.
I'll travel.
If
it's doable, I travel.
Doable.
But
yeah, and Becky, in her book, she's just taken pictures at births over the years, and then obviously got permission when she came to write her book. Yeah, it would be a fantastic book to do for you.
I would love to. That's kind of a dream. That's definitely a dream in the future. I'd love to do an exhibition. I'd love to do a book.
We've got our we're live on 2 channels. We're live in the hypnobirthing group, and I know the hypnobirthing group is a question from Abby, and I can't see it because we're also on the mobile, which is in front. And Andy, what's Abby's question? Can you read it out?
Yeah, I'll give it 2 seconds.
Thank you. And so we just thought we'd be flash and broadcast on 2 channels, and why not? And I think the broadband's just about handling it. Oh no, it's gone again. But it's okay on the page.
We're on one, but not on the other.
Yeah. Hi Danny, by the way. Nice to have you on board. So just to recap, if you've just joined, this is Hannah Palamara. Hannah takes exquisite photographs of birth. She's trained in taking amazing pictures and creating a record for women of their birth experiences. This is Abby's question. Hi Sophie, love your site. Hypnobirth last December. My wee girl is 1 on the 21st of December. It was the most empowering experience. Very empowering on our journey. Oh, go you. And happy birthday for next week, little girl. Thanks for joining. Right, so we could ask for questions.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious. I know you wanted to let people know about the cost.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the investment into birth photography, because as birth photography is still quite new here in the UK, there have been photographers shooting births for a long time, but it's not really out, you know, it's not so much talked about, it's not really out in public so much, and that's what I'm trying to change. And one of the things that comes up a lot is the cost, you know, the investment of birth photography, because I don't think people really understand necessarily what goes into birth photography and being a birth photographer. And one of the things that I always liken it to is wedding photography. You know, we invest thousands of pounds in documenting the day of our weddings, which is, you know, one of the most important days of our lives. But also, giving birth to your baby is really important. And I think, you know, investing in that, I would rather invest in that, to be honest with you. I wish I had. I spent a lot on my wedding photographer, and I didn't back then. So it's, you know, it is an investment, but what goes into being a birth photographer, as we mentioned before, is the on-call life.
Yes.
So being on call
24/7
Yeah.
for several weeks probably.
And then being
Yeah.
at the birth anywhere up to, you know, anywhere from 6 to 48 hours. And then we've got to go back and edit those photos, which again can take, you know, some time to deliver.
Yeah.
And not to mention the equipment that, you know, we have and the insurance we have to have for our equipment, you know.
It's expensive kit.
It runs into, you know,
The
thousands and
thousands.
thousands of pounds. So I like to talk about, you know, the investment of wedding photography versus birth photography, because I think it's quite a similar thing and people don't realise what goes into it, how much goes into it. And there's a lot of sacrifice with on-call life, as you know, as a doula. It's,
I don't enjoy being on call.
there's a
I
huge
like
sacrifice.
doulaing, but I don't enjoy the on call. You don't sleep well, do you? I don't sleep well because I'm always like, if I missed the call, did I? No. And then they would phone back. They wouldn't just
It's
go,
hard.
oh,
It's
nods.
hard. And like rearranging, you know, children's birthdays, and I've missed holidays. I missed a family holiday to New York.
Wow.
For 2 weeks, I didn't go. Lots of sacrifices are made to do this work, but we do it because we love it.
It's a vocation.
It's a
You just see it
vocation.
as a vocation, and you see it as, yeah. Wow. Is there anything else? So if I was preggers and I was interested, and just, what's the most common question that people ask, I suppose?
What's the most common question?
One day, I can't, because I know you. I'm like, well, you've answered all my questions
Yeah.
already.
I suppose one of the most common questions is how long do you stay? Which I've already answered.
Yeah.
You know, we stay for the whole thing. We work with backup photographers.
Okay.
So I have backups.
Yeah.
So if there was anything, you know, if there was any unknown reason why I couldn't be there, then I have a backup photographer who
Okay.
could come and take my place or cover for me till I got there.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think most of the questions revolve around kind of, well, a lot of people that are interested in birth photography, they've seen birth photography, so they know what it is, you know, that they're looking for.
Yeah.
But I guess it revolves around what to expect really from the package as a whole.
Okay.
Does that answer the question? It doesn't answer the
It
question.
does, it does. And I think having a couple of meetups before the birth, just so that everybody's kind of knows how and what's going to happen and how you will be, and knowing you, because having people that you know and trust with you in your birthing is massively important. That's why it's important to go and check out, if you're not staying at home, to go out and check the place you're going to birth, because you don't want to just like rock up somewhere you've never been. That's
Definitely. Yeah.
Getting into the kind of fear state stuff. And anybody in the attendance at a birth is working hard to create space and tranquility and a sort of sanctuary for the women. So yeah, having you on there but not there and quiet.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
That's definitely what I try to do. I try to read the room and to then facilitate that with, you know, my presence, just like with my doulaing. And I think that's why it goes so well hand in hand, is to try and see what's happening and to work around them. I think a lot of people do have concerns about if it could be intrusive, and you know, all the feedback that I've had is that they don't know I was there,
They don't
which
know
is
you're
like
there.
which is ideal, really.
Okay. All right. So, folks, do you want to give them information where to find you? I will post up
Yes.
links to pictures and sites and
Okay.
pages afterwards.
Yes, you can find me on Facebook at Tree of Life Doula Photography, and my website www.treeoflifedoulaphotography.com, and I am on Twitter, but I don't Twitter much, at Love Tree of Life, and Instagram. I Instagram a lot. I'm on Tree of Life Doula Photography on Instagram.
Thank you very much, Hannah.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for popping your cherry of Facebook Live.
Yeah, that was an experience. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.